Imagine a calm winter's night at sea. A floating city, a modern marvel of engineering, just gliding through the water. And then, in an instant, it all comes to a grinding halt because of one single, reckless decision. This is the complete story of the Costa Concordia, from a captain's foolish stunt to one of the most incredible salvage operations in history.
So, here's how we're going to break it all down. We'll start with that fatal deviation from course. Then we'll dive right into the night of chaos. After that, we'll look at why this was an organizational accident. Then we'll see how they righted the wreck, and finally we'll talk about the echoes this disaster left behind.
All right, let's set the scene. The date is January 13th, 2012. The Costa Concordia, this massive, state-of-the-art cruise ship, is carrying over 4,200 people. Everything seems perfect as it cuts through the calm, cold waters of the Tyrrhenian Sea. But what was supposed to be just another part of the journey turned into an absolute nightmare. A little after 9 p.m., the ship did something it wasn't supposed to. It veered way off its planned route, a decision that would seal its fate. Now, let's be crystal clear. This was no accident. This deviation was a choice. The ship's captain, Francesco Schettino, decided at the last minute to do this incredibly risky maneuver, a sail past. Why? Apparently he wanted to impress a manager on board and give a little salute to a retired captain on the nearby island of Giglio. This wasn't in the computer, it was completely off the books.
And at 9:42 p.m., the consequences of that off-the-books maneuver became terrifyingly real. A sound no one ever wants to hear on a ship, the shriek of tearing metal. The massive 114,000-ton vessel slammed into an underwater rock, ripping a 50-meter gash in its side. The ship was fatally wounded.
For thousands of passengers, a lovely dinner was instantly transformed into sheer terror. Imagine it. Plates and glasses flying, water pouring from the kitchens. The ship started to list, to tilt, and panic just erupted. And worse, there was zero information coming from the crew. And this is where it gets even crazier. In that crucial first hour, communication just completely broke down. A deadly silence from the bridge. Passengers were told over and over again, "Oh, it's just a little electrical problem," even as the ship was very obviously taking on water and tipping over. The order to abandon ship, it came over an hour late, way, way too late. As the ship tilted more and more, the lights went out, plunging everyone into pitch-black chaos. People were trapped in dark hallways, with water rushing in and furniture sliding everywhere. Many truly believed they were abandoned and about to die. With a total vacuum of leadership, something strange happened. You had chaos, but you also had courage. Some crew members just stood there, refusing to help. But then you had a group of junior officers who basically started a mutiny, ignoring the captain and starting to evacuate passengers on their own. Survivors said they had to save themselves, fighting their way to lifeboats in a desperate, disorganized scramble for their lives.
Look, it's easy to point the finger squarely at the captain. His actions were the trigger, no doubt. But investigators started asking a much deeper question. Was this a disaster just waiting to happen? Was it really just one man's mistake, or was that mistake just the final link in a much longer, much more fragile chain?
And that's where this concept of an organizational accident comes in. Researchers now see the Concordia as a textbook example. The idea is that huge catastrophes are almost never caused by one single mistake. Instead, they're the result of a whole bunch of hidden flaws, all lining up at just the wrong moment.
The best way to picture this is something called the Swiss cheese model. Seriously. Think of an organization's safety measures as slices of Swiss cheese. Every slice has holes. Those are the little hidden flaws in training, in procedures, in the safety culture. Usually, a problem gets blocked by one of the slices. But what happens when all the holes line up? A disaster can shoot straight through all the defenses.
And for the Costa Concordia, boy, did those holes line up. An analysis found 6 of them, a perfect cascade of failures. It started with that reckless voyage plan, then bad communication on the bridge, and it ended with that final, fatal ship handling error right as they hit the rocks. It wasn't one thing, it was everything, all at once.
And this, right here, shows the real problem. These latent conditions are what made those active failures possible. Here's a great analogy. Trying to fix just the captain's error is like swatting mosquitoes in a swamp. Addressing these deeper issues, the language barriers, the bad training, a culture that actually rewarded risky behavior, that's like draining the swamp itself.
So in the wake of this absolute tragedy, as the world is watching in horror, Two massive efforts get underway. First, the heartbreaking search for the victims. And second, the unprecedented, almost impossible mission to remove that colossal wreck.
32. That number just hangs in the air, doesn't it? 32 people, passengers and crew from 8 different countries, lost their lives that night. For nearly 2 years, divers had the grim, incredibly dangerous job of searching that twisted metal maze to bring the missing home.
But there was another race against time going on too. The ship was lying in a protected marine sanctuary. An environmental catastrophe was ticking away. They even had to carefully move an entire colony of rare giant fan mussels that were living near the wreck. Every detail mattered.
What happened next was the biggest, most expensive maritime salvage operation in history. It was called parbuckling, and the plan sounded like something out of a science fiction movie. Basically, build a giant artificial seabed under the ship, use massive cables to slowly roll it upright, attach huge steel flotation tanks to both sides, pump them full of air, and just float the whole thing back to the surface. Simple, right?
Just to give you an idea of the sheer scale we're talking about here, the project used over 33,000 tons of steel. That is more than 4 times the amount of steel it took to build the Eiffel Tower.
It was a monumental gamble. Nobody was sure it would work, but after more than 2 years of non-stop work by a team of 500 people, they did the impossible. They rolled the Costa Concordia upright and floated it. In July 2014, the ghost ship finally began its last, slow journey to be dismantled.
Removing the wreck was an incredible triumph of engineering, but the disaster itself left a scar that hasn't faded, not on maritime history, and certainly not on the lives of everyone who was there that night.
The trial really became a tale of two captains. Schettino was convicted and became a global symbol of cowardice. But then there was Coast Guard Captain Gregorio da Falco. His furious radio command to Schettino, "Get back on board, damn it," became a rallying cry in Italy, a symbol of honor and duty when it mattered most.
So, did anything change? Yes, the disaster led to major reviews of safety regulations for the whole industry. Today, the waters of Giglio are clean again, and on the shore, there's a memorial. It's the actual boulder the ship tore from the reef that night, a permanent, silent tribute to the 32 people who were lost.
So, in the end, the story of the Costa Concordia is so much more than just one captain's failure. It's this powerful, chilling reminder that even our most advanced technologies are only as strong as the people and systems running them. And it forces us to ask a really uncomfortable question. Have we truly learned that lesson? Are we doing the hard work of finding and fixing those hidden holes in our own systems, or are we just waiting for the next disaster to line them all up again?